Glad to see you guys are sitting together. Reggie, how are you? Good, sir. It's the captain. Okay. Well, it's 100 days, and we feel really great about so many of the things that we have been able to do to help Ohio move forward. And I think I have to start, obviously, with the fact that Ohio is really beginning to win, or Ohio is beginning to hold its own. We were at risk with 4 companies that we really were extremely concerned about. Of course, American Greetings. I heard about American Greetings during the campaign, and I made a pledge that once elected, I would immediately head up there. And I think it was 2 days after the election, I went up to American Greetings. We dug in, and I give particular credit to Mark Wammy and the team over at Department of Development. We were able to sit down and hammer out a deal. And I have to tell you, it wasn't easy, but it got done. And instead of reading an announcement in the Cleveland Plain Dealer that another hole was blown in the northeastern part of the state, American Greetings committed to staying. I think it was about $157 million worth of payroll and a minimum of 2,000 jobs. Creative company, I think a major victory for Ohio to be able to retain that company. As I like to say, they're a creative company in a partnership with some of our brightest and most imaginative students, and at the same time, a great relationship with Disney. That was a good one. Diebold was another terrific success. You cannot take NCR away from Ohio and put ourselves in a position where we were going to lose perhaps its greatest competitor, which is Diebold. You know, I've been saying all along, I checked the scores last night. I don't know how the Philadelphia-Miami game went, but I pray every day that Miami will lose every game they ever play. So now, of course, I'm cheering for Diebold to win every contract over NCR. Diebold is a terrific win. And the reason why Diebold matters so much is it is a technology company that fortifies the Northeast and, you know, lends an air of not just excitement, but cool, the cool I've talked about. You go up to Diebold and take a look at their headquarters, and of course they're going to build a new world headquarters, and it's pretty exciting. You know, we don't need Jay-Z playing here, Cohen. Turn that off. All I'm talking about cool, but you're getting in. But anyway, I mean, to have Diebold be able to stay, that feeds University of Akron, Case Western, so many things up there. I'm extremely pleased that that Diebold chose us over North Carolina. You know, obviously it was very important. Yesterday we had an announcement at Goodyear, and I must say the development team, which started working with Goodyear the day after the election, this was a deal that had dragged on and on and on. And because of the good work of Christy Tanner and our development people, we were able to nail that down and close that deal. I mean, you can talk forever, but I can tell you as a former banker, if you don't close the deal, you don't accomplish anything. And I'm very proud of the work that our team did. And working collaboratively, great teamwork. I mean, that's 2,900 jobs, a brand new headquarters, more research and development through that facility. And of course, Bob Evans. Look, I can tell you that boards of directors are not wedded to any particular state. The CEO of Bob Evans is frankly doesn't have a lot of connection to Ohio. The board doesn't necessarily have a lot of connection. They're looking for the best deal, and there was serious consideration of moving headquarters to Texas. We were able to prevent that, more investment in the state of Ohio, and we're very pleased about that. And of course, I'm very, very excited about the fact that we're going to have that movie, because I have been wanting to be in a movie for a long time, and I think I'm going to slip into that Avengers movie. I'm very pleased about it. And, you know, this all sort of fits together with what we've been thinking about and talking about for really a couple years. Creating a platform for economic growth and for job creation, to make Ohio friendly again, like it was when I first moved to Ohio in 1970. We were a state where people wanted to go, they wanted to live, You know, it was good location, common sense, good people, God-fearing. That still remains, but we've lost our way over the last several decades and got sloppy, didn't do our job, didn't make decisions. And so we had to come in, and in a very short period of time, we had to start to move heaven and earth to get this state in a position of where we can not just protect our jobs and expand the jobs of the companies in Ohio, but where we can become attractive to companies and entrepreneurs all over our country. The Jobs Ohio, the passage of Jobs Ohio, which received strong bipartisan support. Only 2 votes in the House, but overwhelming support in the Ohio Senate. I was with Jason Wilson yesterday up in Salem, the guy that voted for it. Capri Cafaro deserves a lot of credit for helping us to maneuver some of this legislation through. I just really have to tell you that if Ohio is really going to move effectively in the 21st century, we need a vehicle that moves at the speed of business, as I like to say, and Jobs Ohio is critical to that. I was asked a question last week, well, you know, why do you need that if things are going so well? I mean, it's a pretty bizarre question. If things are going so well, why do we need to get better? Well, at one point, things weren't going so well, so I don't know what everybody's conceding. I guess they must be going really well, because now they're saying we just keep the tools we have. Well, since we're the ones that have helped to make it get better, we need the tools to make it even more better. And the most important thing about Jobs Ohio is not just that it can move quickly, not just that we can get the best and the brightest, many of whom do not work and want to work in the government. Not only it allows us to begin to build an endowment that we can use to effectively compete with companies all over the country. We have this budget that comes out. People said it is impossible for you to eliminate an $8 billion structural deficit and cut taxes. Well, it's precisely what we've done. We've been able to hold the tax cut, and it is essential that we have this tax cut, because what is common with all these companies we talk about? The fact that we offer them incentives to lower their costs. Let me repeat that. What is the common item here is all of them were offered incentives to lower their costs. I don't want to keep doing one-offs. I want to start being able to help every company in the state of Ohio by lowering the cost for everybody, and not just going to the rescue at each one of these companies. So that's why we can't raise taxes in Ohio. I mean, what a disaster that would be. As you all know, I was up meeting with the rating agencies. I hope you've had a chance to look at the Moody's report. I haven't seen the other ones, but the Moody's report is pretty clear. They held us a negative rating. They did not lower our credit, which Tim Keene and I were extremely concerned about, but they said there's 2 factors. Well, really 3 factors. The reforms that are contained in the budget must be kept, all of them. Direct budget reforms and things related to it. And they also said that they're very concerned about the underlying economy of the state of Ohio. Credit ratings dropping is a terrible sign for a state. The fact that we've been able to hold on here and I think making progress with the credit agencies and convincing them that we have a bold program, that we've eliminated the structural deficit, that we're on the way to reducing our costs, and that we are attacking the issue of jobs in Ohio as aggressively as anybody has ever seen. So preserving that tax cut and then moving to eliminate that structural deficit. And contained in that budget, which many of the people in the news media couldn't figure out how we even did it, and some of you still wonder how we did it, it was based on a couple things. Reversing the mangling and the mismanagement of the operations of the state of Ohio. We've been able to make a lot of progress with this great cabinet because they were in a position to be able to begin to manage. And they managed effectively, and we wouldn't have accomplished most of what we've accomplished without this great team. And secondly, the reform-oriented nature of this budget. No one would have ever dreamt that Medicaid savings would accumulate, at least in the first year, about $1.5 billion, and nobody would squawk except for one specific lobby group. I mean, to think that those who are the child advocates have supported this budget, that those that represent the rights of the mentally ill have endorsed this budget, that many of our university presidents have endorsed this budget. Back to Medicaid for a second, that the hospitals that are having reduced payments, that the physicians that are getting reduced payments, all understand the roadmap and the path that we're on. And no one would have dreamt it. There was a hubbub early on about the sale of prisons and what Gary Moore was doing. He hadn't been touched with a glove, because his program, which will lower violence, lower costs, and bring a rational sentencing program to the state of Ohio, is frankly is so defensible it's pretty hard to lay a glove on it. And we can move through it all, moving a liquor operation that is antiquated and outdated, that is used to run the government in Ohio, and moving it into Jobs Ohio, so we will have the powder we need, as pointed out by Bloomberg. Has made other states nervous, because now we can go and begin to raid their jobs, their companies, and bring their folks here to the state of Ohio. And the ability, 2/3 of the general revenue fund has been reduced, but it's been reduced in such a way that we have protected the most vulnerable, which is exactly what we are all committed to here. Obviously, we've done our collective bargaining reform and give the tools to local governments to control costs, but as important as all of that, it's a degree of fairness. You know, when I go to Bob Evans and I see a woman working in there who doesn't have any pension, and I don't even know if she has health care benefits, and if she does, they're shabby at best. And to think that we're asking public workers to do a little bit more, people who have guaranteed benefits and people who are not paying very much for their health care, and to ask them to do a little bit more in the name of providing balance to that mom who's trying to educate her kids, it's fairness. And at the same time, of course, we want our local communities to be able to control their costs, because the city of Brooklyn's inability to control their costs probably going to lead to the fact that American Greetings is going to leave. You know, we're all in this together. The Common Sense Initiative, I mean, this is a great thing. This is an area where we decided we're going to get rid of rules and regulations that don't work. Everybody is working on that here. Scott Nellie's been a superstar in terms of working through the permitting process to create jobs. I'm also very proud of what we've done on opiates. Orton Hall, as I like to call him, he's done a fantastic job. We're going to be meeting with the governor of Kentucky today. But Orman had a passion for fighting opiates. We drew down about $36 million in federal dollars that no one ever did before. I mean, what was going on around here? And we drew the money down, and we are fighting the devil in Scioto County, and we're going to fight the devil all over this state. We have got our Adams boards, they are energized and they are working, and we are going to drive the devil out of this state. And we're going to work with the governor of Kentucky, the governor of West Virginia. I've already talked to the governor of Florida. Winning the battle against opiates, which destroys so many of our families, has to be won. Thrilled that Teach for America is coming. I can't wait to sign that bill. It's one of the great achievement here. We laid it out in the State of the State address, and before I knew it, the legislature hopped on it, and they went ahead and they passed it. My children are very excited. We've given them a couple extra calamity days. The people down at Grand Lake St. Mary's cannot believe that we have gone down there with the EPA and DNR and my own JZ down there, the Department of Agriculture, to begin to address that problem. It could be a model not only for Grand Lake St. Mary's, if we're fortunate, but also perhaps for Lake Erie, which is under great pressure. We've been up to Lake Erie to deal with the charter boat captains to make sure that Lake Erie, one of the great jewels of our state, is going to be preserved. We want Joe to continue to go fishing. I haven't seen much of him lately. He must be practicing his fishing a little bit more, but you know, that's really important. Workforce development monster with Colbert